chào các bạn. Tuần này Life Abroad Podcast sẽ thử thay đổi một chút. Thay vì phỏng vấn bằng tiếng Việt thì bọn mình sẽ phỏng vấn bằng tiếng Anh. Khách mời tuần này là bạn Ngân, tốt nghiệp đại học ở Úc chuyên ngành báo chí và sau đó là tốt nghiệp thạc sĩ tại Phần Lan chuyên ngành quan hệ công chúng, Corporate Communication. Bạn Ngân sẽ chia sẻ với các bạn về sự khác biệt giữa du học hai nước Phần Lan và Úc cùng với những trải nghiệm trong quá trình hơn 5 năm sinh sống và học tập tại nước ngoài. Xin mời các bạn cùng chú ý lắng nghe. Hi Ngân, thank you so much to be on the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
First of all, tell us something about yourself.
Well, my name is Ngân, as you already know, and I'm currently a master's student in Finland. I'm doing my degree in corporate communication and I minor in marketing. I used to study my bachelor degree in Australia in journalism and economics. So yeah, I've already also worked in Vietnam for 2 years before coming to Finland. So yeah, that's about it.
So you would have a lot of experience to share with us today, for sure. All right.
I hope I have something useful to say.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So after you went to Australia for your undergraduate study, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about your experience during that time. Like, how do you apply? Why did you choose Australia? And so on.
Well, to be honest, the time I was a high school student and I didn't really plan on going abroad to study because even though that's an awesome opportunity, but I knew that it would cost a lot of money for my family. And as many of you in the audience might know that in Australia for undergraduate study, there's almost no scholarship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you go to Australia, then it's basically just your own funding.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to create that kind of pressure on my family. Even if not Australia, anywhere else, it would cost a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
So I was also fine with staying at home and attending university at home.
Mm-hmm.
But my family, in the end, had the opportunity to give me that chance.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I took it and I went to Australia.
So that was when you were finishing your high school, or?
Well, actually, I didn't finish my high school. I only finished year 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing with Australia is at that time the policy is even if you finish high school at year 12, you
Mm-hmm.
still have to do the same amount of foundation studies as finishing year 11.
Mm-hmm.
So when I already decided to go that path, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't make any sense for me to do year 12.
Oh wow!
So I just stopped after year 11, took some time off and
Mm-hmm.
Went to do some volunteering to get an experience before going. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have your high school diploma?
No, I didn't. I still don't.
Does it cause you any trouble at all?
No, not so far.
Okay.
No one has ever asked for that yet. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope not, because I would not know what to do in that situation. But okay, you were talking about your volunteer experience. So you spent basically a year after your 11th grade, right? You spent a year at home and preparing for your...
Actually, no, because I went to Australia to do my foundation study half a year before my university started.
Oh,
So
okay. Great.
Yeah, during when my friends was doing year 12, I
Mm-hmm.
was already in Australia.
Oh, so before that, you were doing some volunteer work in Vietnam. Can you tell me more
Mm-hmm.
about it?
At that time, my goal was just to make some foreigner friends and
Mm-hmm.
to practice English. So when I found information about an international work camp organized by VPV, Vietnam Volunteering for Peace Vietnam. So yeah, I applied for it and fortunately I got it. So the experience was I, along with another Vietnamese volunteer, would stay 2 weeks in an orphanage in Việt Trì.
Oh, wow.
And with about 12 other international volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
They came from all different parts of the world, like US,
Mm-hmm.
Guatemala,
Oh, wow.
Germany, Korea, France. So yeah.
Yeah, you did really meet a lot of people from different places in the world.
And I'm still friends with a lot of them nowadays, even to this day. So that's a really good experience, and it was very eye-opening for me at the time when I was just 17 years old and never had a foreigner friend before. I had my, of course, my English teacher. Some of them was foreigner, but were like it's just a teacher-student relationship. So these people, they are now my friends, and it gave me an opportunity to also look at my country through their lenses, and also learn a lot about the world as well. Yeah.
What was the most interesting thing that you learned from them, if you still remember?
That's a good question. Well, I think...
not really about them, but like about
I
yourself
learned to
as
be
well.
more tolerant of differences.
Yeah.
Because, this story is quite embarrassing. I went to Australia, and a few things about Australia was quite shocking to me. And in my email to my friends at the camp, I told them about it. And turned out that it's the same practice that they have in their home countries.
Oh.
I was complaining about Australia, this and that, and they said, "Oh, yes, we do that the same in here." So it's quite embarrassing. So from then I realized something is different is not necessarily mean it's bad, and every has their own different way of doing things. So just open your eyes and open your minds a lot.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say that even when you are in Vietnam, there will still be volunteer opportunities like that for you to look for and to not only to practice your new language, but as you say, to open your eyes, right? To learn about Vietnam and learn about other cultures. Like during your time in Vietnam, you don't have to go abroad yet to do it. You can.
No, you don't. Yeah. And now there are so many more opportunities to volunteer and to meet foreigners. So.
Yeah, and I would say
that
not only is that the important factor that you have to put on your application to study abroad, but I mean, it's just the experience itself is awesome. Yeah. So I would highly recommend any of our listeners to look into it more and to do more volunteers work during their time in Vietnam, right?
Yeah.
Besides schoolwork, I mean, school is very important and our workload is a lot, but at the same time, you know, if you can find some time, especially during summertime, then definitely look into those organizations. So VPV is a very good one, and I recommend it to all our listeners as well.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the listeners would know the organization as well.
So tell me about the foundation study that you have to do it in Australia before you officially start your college.
So the foundation study was the idea at that time of maybe immigration policy or I'm not sure, but it was the idea that people coming from countries which high schools are not recognized, they have to go through this thing called foundation study, where you study English and some basic subjects before you are allowed to go to universities. So for my foundation, I studied English, which was then called communication, information technology, accounting, and economics. So very, very basic subjects. But quite interesting because like for accounting and economics, I never had the chance to learn that before in Vietnam in high school. So
I do think that those are the fundamental courses, and only that you learn them in English. So, you know, if you decide to go into one of those major, it will prepare you, you know, it's the languages and the knowledge to be actually study with other Australia friends, right? So I do think that's a good idea of them to do that. So did you have any difficulties during the first few months when you were in Australia?
Well, mostly it was just homesickness. It was my first time going abroad. My first time staying far away from home for that long. So the homesickness hit pretty hard in the beginning. Sometimes I couldn't hold back my tears when I was calling home, but I had to just I try not to let my parents on the other end of the phone know it, because I didn't want them to worry about me too much, because I guess they were already worried a lot.
So how did you overcome?
At that time I was staying with a host family. Like we had this thing called homestay in, I think it's called the same in the US, right?
Yeah, it's homestay.
Yeah. And actually the law is that if you're under 18, you have to have a guardian. So basically you have to stay in a homestay. So the homestay family was really nice, and they were really supportive. The mom even held 18th birthday party for me.
Oh, that's really sweet of them.
It was so sweet, and something I totally didn't expect it. Yeah, and I still remember, and we still keep in touch until today.
That's awesome. So how did you find them?
Well, the school found it for me.
Oh, okay. So it was through the school system.
Yes, the school organized it. But at the beginning, I kind of didn't like the family, because I also had my cousin there in Australia with the same kind of study. So my cousin would talk about her homestay family will be like this great, and how big of the house is, and how much good food they have, and like how fun it is to stay in that family. And I looked at my family. It's a single mom and a son. So it is a lot more quiet, and sometimes I feel like quite isolated, because the son was not that friendly, I could say, but he was very young at the time. So anyway, I kind of asked the school to change it. I suggested that maybe I could stay in the same family with my cousin, because they had other students as well. But the school said that they try to not to put students of the same nationality in one homestay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because that makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. Yeah, because you wouldn't practice English that much if you have the opportunity to speak your own language. So I stayed with my homestay, and later I realized it's a better one.
So it would. So for our listener who prepare to study in Australia, that's something that you need to know about, and to mentally prepare, right? Because you'll never know what kind of homestay that they're gonna put you in, and you're just gonna have to adapt. And
and again, just have an open mind, because
just like
I
you
think
later on,
differences is beautiful.
Yeah, because later on you realize that was the best fit for you at the time, right? So just be patient and be prepared for, there might be things that you don't expect at first, but it might turns out well later on. So stay open-minded and don't raise your hope too high. So tell me about school, your college years in Australia.
During my foundation, I studied economics, and I realized it's a very interesting subject, because once you understand the basics of economics, you can see the world a lot more clearly. You can understand the news a lot better.
Yeah, definitely.
And the law of the world is basically just supply and demand in everything. So it fascinated me. So my major was journalism, which is something I had already decided long before. But after foundation, I thought that maybe I would also want to do economics as another major, because in my university, I had the opportunity to do double major.
Oh, okay.
If I just put all my electives into one major, then it would be a double major. So that's what I did. I did journalism and economics, two things totally
in a way,
but,
still related, right?
Yeah, I don't regret the decision.
So how was class like in Australia?
Well, in Australia, it's the same with the US and UK and other Anglo-Saxon countries. The education system is, especially for university, undergraduate, it is very practical. So you would learn a lot from practitioners. They are your teachers.
Oh, wow.
They are not like academic professors like here in Europe.
That's awesome.
And so you learn just hands-on experiences and knowledge directly from the field, from the people in the industry. a lot less about research and academic and things like that.
And theory, right?
So, and I think that's very good for journalism, especially because we had very practical courses, like for example, this newsroom course that we had.
Tell me more about it.
Every week before coming to class, I would have to prepare an idea for a news topic that I would write on that day.
On the same day of the class?
Yeah. So I would come to class, and each of us would pitch with the teacher, which acted as the editor-in-chief of the newspaper. And if he liked the idea, then we would go on with it. Or if he didn't like the idea, then he would suggest maybe another topic or just another angle to the story. And after that, we would develop the story right in class. So there will be a phone. You can use that to call to get interviews, or you can just go to the places to get the interviews, do whatever you have to do. You don't have to stay in class. But at the end of the day, you have to submit the story.
Oh, wow.
News stories will be just about 100, 200 words. It's not that long, but it has to be a true story, and it has to have news values. It's like the same quality with something that you would read on a newspaper, basically. And we also have the stories published on our university's newspaper.
So did you get any of
them online as well?
Did you get any of your news piece published?
I don't remember.
So writing is a big part of journalism, right? And you have to write in English.
Yeah.
And, start off from high school. I don't know about you, but I didn't have enough writing skills, especially in English, to be able to write an essay, let alone to write a news article. So what was your experience about that, and how did you improve your writing?
Well, it was also very hard for me. My classmates was basically Australians. There was only another Asian girl, but she's from Malaysia, so she had pretty good English already.
Yeah, they speak English.
So I was the only one who was standing out, that I didn't have very good background in English.
That must be really hard.
It was really hard, and it was a struggle for me every day, especially writing newspaper quality stories.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just have to give it my best, because there's no way else that I could do it. Because language skill is not something that can be developed overnight.
Yeah, definitely.
It cannot be like you learn some new words and then you can just put all of them in your article. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So what I did was I read a lot, and I still read a lot. And
what did you read? Do you read the news, or do you read books?
I read mostly books. It's also my interest, so it didn't feel like a chore for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think reading helps me a lot in terms of vocabulary, and in terms of how to develop a structured sentence.
So besides reading for the content of the book, we might want to pay attention to how do they write it too, right? How do they tell their
and
story?
I think even if you don't, what you focus on is not writing, I think reading still helps a lot. I think it also helped me with speaking as well, because once you read it, you kind of know how people say it naturally, how they use different words.
Yeah.
And maybe for some people it would work better if they watch movies, for example, or if they listen to music. But I think for me, reading is the best.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I'm kind of the watching movies and listening to music. So I'm more of a visual learner. But definitely, I think, you have to find what works for you. And then you focus on it and you practice more, right?
Yeah, because the advice is just to immerse yourself in the language in whatever form that you find comfortable.
Yeah. Okay, so you finished your college in Australia, and then you decide to go to Europe, in particular Finland, for your master degree. Why did you choose to do that?
Well, actually, I already went to Europe during my undergraduate study in Australia. I also went to Finland for exchange.
So that's why. So that's when you were in Australia, you go on an exchange program to Finland, right?
Yes. I don't know why, but I had this fascination about Finland since I was small. I think I read some news articles or just stories of Vietnamese students living in Finland. And I think the country is just so fascinating. It's so far away, something totally different from Vietnam.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Something that you don't often hear of. So it's quite mysterious, but also it's amazing, I think. So I've always wanted to go to Finland to study, not Australia. I actually also did go to a few education fairs about studying in Finland, and I did consider that opportunity. But at the end, my family, my mom specifically, thought that Australia would be a better option. And she's right. Australia was a better option for that time because it is an English-speaking country, and I think it gives me a very good foundation for, first of all, English, and then understanding of the world and everything at that time.
Yeah. And I feel like for college studies, for for undergraduate studies, it's better to have to learn from your industry, from the practical point of view, right?
Yes, that's also.
Yeah, and then you get a broader view of what you like and what you don't like, and then you go for your master degree to get deeper in the kind of the subject, the major that you are interested in. So I think your mom was right.
Yeah, mom is always right.
Yeah, mothers. How do they do that?
for that particular decisions of her. But I still wanted to go to Finland, and as soon as I was in Murdoch University, I looked for exchange opportunity to Finland. Exchange is not something very popular in Australia, and so it wasn't advertised that much. So I had to reach the information by myself. But yes, my school did have exchange programs, and fortunately, it also had exchange agreement with a university in Finland. So at the beginning, I set it as my goal to go to Finland for exchange in my last semester, and that's what I did. I went to Finland in 2011 in January, when it was the darkest time and in the coldest winter. Yes.
So you got the best timing.
Yes. But it was a very unforgettable experience, and I would suggest people who study abroad to look for that opportunity, because most of the time it would cost pretty much the same, and you have like a life-changing experience.
Oh, okay. So you was paying the same tuition fee to your Australia school, but
yes, I still pay the same tuition fee. The tuition fee is the same. So the difference, if there is any, is just in the living cost. But living cost is in Finland is also even cheaper in Australia, because as a student you get a lot of subsidy in your housing and in school lunches and books and everything. So this was actually even cheaper.
Cool. And then that was when you decide that if you want to go for a master degree, you want to go back to Finland.
Actually, no. I had never intended to go to do a master's degree. I think I'm not cut for doing anything academic. So I thought after undergraduate study, I thought that's enough.
No more school.
Yes, but you don't know, life happens.
Yeah,
plans change. So
because you came back to Vietnam for 2 years to work, right?
Yes, I came back to Vietnam after my study in Australia, and immediately I started working as maybe you can say intern journalist or something, as a journalist in Tuổi Trẻ newspaper in Vietnam.
That's really cool.
Which is a pretty big one.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest.
And a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I worked there for half a year as a reporter working on foreign organizations, embassies, Ministry of Affairs, so everything related to Vietnam's international relations because English. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get to apply what you learned in college to your workplace?
Well, some of it, yes, but as I had also expected, being a journalist in Australia and being a journalist in Vietnam is very, very different. But that wasn't something surprising. I used some English, but that not a lot. So that's also why I changed my job, because I didn't think it was the best for me, or I was the best for the job. Stopped working there, took some time off, went to India for a youth camp thing.
Was that another volunteer?
No, it's not a volunteer. It is a thing organized by the Đoàn Thanh Niên, how would you call it? Youth.
Yeah, the youth union.
Youth union organization, something. Yeah. Yes, in India for 2 weeks. It was pretty interesting. Anyway, when I got back from India, I started working in another newspaper. I worked there for another half a year. And then I thought that, okay, that's enough. I realized journalism is not something for me, and it's not something that made me happy doing. So I applied for a job as a communication officer, which is the other side of journalism, actually, from an EU-funded project in development and sustainability for a year. It was very interesting, and I learned a lot, and I could use my English a lot more. And I think communication or PR is something I'm more interested in.
So you found out that you want to do the different side of journalism.
Yes, and also when I was working, I realized I don't have official education in communication or public relations, and maybe having a degree in that field would help me out in the future. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons that I went to Finland to study this degree in corporate communication.
And so tell me about it. How do you like it so far?
Well,
how do you like Finland in general, and how do you like your program? And what's the difference between Australia and Finland? And, since you have the perspectives from both countries.
Yeah. So before coming to Finland to study this program, I didn't know that the education system in Europe would be so much different. Here it's a lot more academic compared to in Australia. So my teachers, most of them, they have never had experience in the field as a practitioner. And I have to do a thesis, which I didn't have to do in Australia for my undergraduate. Because in here in Europe, after high school, you basically have two options. Either you go to Polytechnic, University of Applied Sciences. So Polytechnic is a lot more practical, and university
is more.
So Polytechnic is more like the Australian version of university. So if you are someone that like to do field work and you like to learn from the industry, then maybe you should consider doing University of Applied Sciences in Finland, or maybe the equivalent in other European countries. But if you want to go to universities, you should be prepared that it would be very research oriented.
And I think that's the information is valuable for our listeners who want to go study in Finland, right? Because that's what you're going to search for. You're going to search for applied science. Because normally we will just search for university, right?
Yes,
and not knowing that they have like two completely different type of universities in Finland. So
they have two different systems. And actually a lot of Vietnamese people here, they are studying in universities of applied sciences. So you can that's also an option that is very popular.
Yeah, definitely. So you have to know what you're looking for, and then to find the right terms to search for, right? And so how was your school in Finland like? How is your school in Finland like?
Very much different to Australia in so many ways. So in Australia, we would have very few courses. Like back then when I was studying, I only had 3 courses for one semester.
Oh, yeah, that's not too bad.
Only 3 courses, and therefore the classrooms will be very big. A lot of people in a class. There could be like 50 people.
Oh wow, that's a big class for sure.
Finland very different in the way that you have a lot of courses in one semester. That's why the class is very small. My class can be just only 10 people for one class. And for the assignments in Finland, they have a lot more variety in assignments. So you can write essay, you write a reaction paper, which is criticizing an article or your thoughts on an article. They have group work, teamwork project, and they have presentation. So I don't know about other universities in Finland, but for my particular universities, I think presentation skill and teamwork skills has to be demonstrated in every course.
Oh, I think that's a very wonderful skills to have. Because especially when you go out and work, you're not gonna do everything on your own. You're gonna have to work in team, right? So I think that's
and you learn many interesting things when you work in teams about other people and also about yourself.
So how was working like teamwork, and how was your classmates like in Finland? And is there any different from the Australia fellow students?
So I had some courses in here that I get to work with students from other schools within my university. So I had one course about fashion marketing, where I worked with people from the art school, fashion designers.
Oh.
So really interesting stuff.
I would want to learn about that for sure.
And I had another course where I worked with students of the technology engineering school.
Oh, wow.
So the number crunching people.
That's really awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
get
thing
to
about
not only
this university is that you have a lot of opportunity to do cross-disciplinary study. So for example, when I worked with art people, I realized that they are super creative.
They should be.
That's something we all know. But when you actually work with them, you really see that they have a lot of ideas coming out like fireworks. It's coming out instantly. They have so many ideas
really
that I can never think of myself. But on the other hand, they are not that keen on execution.
So they're ideas people.
Yes, they're idea people. So you have to understand that when you work with them, and you have to find a common ground. Another example is for the technology students. Very logical, of course, but on the other hand, they are not. I feel I was just biased with my experience, but I feel like they are not that good with teamwork.
Oh, so they are more like individualized.
I think so. Yeah. So when we had to work in team, I feel like they weren't really familiar with that. Actually, I didn't have a good experience with them because at the end, all my team members dropped the course and I had to do it alone by myself.
That's horrible.
Yes.
So did your professor help you
learn things along the way?
Yeah, I love that story because that's another side about working in team in group, right? Because you'll have conflict from time to time.
Yes. And you will sometimes have horrible people as your teammates.
Yeah.
And you just have to put up with it and make the best out of it, because it's also the same in real life. If you are assigned to that particular team, you cannot just complain to your boss and change, because that is not likely to happen
at all.
So sometimes the advice is just to suck it up.
That's a good advice.
Yeah.
So do you have any, because you were more used to living far away from home, when you were in Finland. So did you have any difficulties during your time getting a master degree?
You mean in terms of being far away from home?
In Finland in general. What did you have encounter any difficulties? Like, was any barrier, or was it something that you were struggling or something?
Well, I think in Finland, I would say if I have to say there's a barrier, it has to be the obvious one, which is the language. Because I don't speak Finnish. I tried to learn a bit, but I wasn't that keen on, and I'm not that dedicated to learning.
Yeah, and I've heard that Finnish is a difficult language to learn as well.
I think it's the most difficult language in the world. Even though my school, they try to be more inclusive of international students, but still, sometimes people still speak in Finnish, and like maybe it's better if you know some Finnish, and then you can make friends easier, I guess. And it will also help a lot if you can speak fluent Finnish when you apply for jobs in here, especially in my field, in communication, because if you only know English, your job opportunity will be very, very limited.
Yeah, I think that's the same problem with any other European countries as well, right?
Yes.
Besides England, of course, like besides the UK, that they want to preserve, they want to use their language. So
yes, they can speak English, but
they want to use.
Yeah, a lot of communication materials is still in Finnish.
Oh, so definitely that's going to be a trouble if you want to go and work in Finland for sure. So you would suggest our listeners who want to go study in Finland to think about if they want to stay, then think about study some Finnish, right?
And also, if you want to have a part-time jobs, a lot of them require Finnish.
So are there a lot of international students at your university?
Yes, I would say a lot, quite a lot.
So did you guys have like a small little community for international students to help each other out, or?
Not that I know of. I think there's international student committee or board, and there's international student newsletters. So yes, I think there are. But as my campus is not the main campus of the school, so a lot of things happening is not nearby and in the other campus.
Because I was thinking about it, so that's something you can search for prior to your departure to Finland, right?
But yeah, there are a lot of international students here. Also, a lot of Vietnamese students as well.
Yeah, there are more and more Vietnamese students who's going to Finland, I feel like. In the past few years.
In my university, particularly, there are more Vietnamese students than Chinese ones.
Wow! Yay!
Yeah. I think.
Especially when I feel like that's so important, especially when you're in a country that you don't speak their language, because like if you're living in a country where you speak English, like in Australia, then it's easier for you to just go out and make friends, right? But in Finland, I feel like it would be better to have some more, familiar faces and people who speak the same language, so that you don't feel too left out or alone.
Yeah, sometimes you cook something together, or
yeah, that'd be awesome.
Be aware that only conversing with Vietnamese people will not make your English any better.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
I was just too excited about not having to speak Finnish.
Maybe for the listeners, to something else to keep in mind, that your language skill can only get better if you practice it every day.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You can also do it with your Vietnamese friend. Like you can speak English together to each other, like what I did with my cousin in Australia.
So okay, so that was how you practice your English, like on a daily basis.
Yes. Well, at first it was just because we were in the same class and we didn't want to speak in Vietnamese in front of other students. So it would be just polite to speak in English. But then it caught on and we just spoke in English ever since.
Yeah, it's just like I used to talk to my sister in English, and
like talking or.
Yeah, we text and talk and everything in English.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect way to learn, because you are more willing to express your feelings and just to say something on your mind, to someone, to another Vietnamese person than you are to an English person. So it's like when you talk to native speakers, you tend to be a little reserved.
You tend to be more self-conscious of your imperfect English.
Yeah, but when you talk in English to your other friends, then they might even help you to fix it, to improve it together, I think that's, that's an awesome idea, and I think we should do that. It's just like us right now, we're speaking in English, right?
Yes, yeah. And it feels totally natural.
Yeah. So, we're practicing already. And I think, practicing English, as you said before, it's not a skill that you can learn overnight. You just have to practice and keep practicing and you'll never get to, to be perfect, but, closer to perfection. Perfection would be nice.
Yeah.
And it helps you so much in your school and, in your everyday life as well. So I would say, talk in English to your Vietnamese friend.
Yeah.
Even when you're in Vietnam, you can still do that. You don't have to wait until
if you're cool with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you've been abroad for quite a long time. What is the biggest lesson that you learned from being abroad, studying abroad, and living abroad?
Yeah, like I said, be open-minded, be tolerant of differences, and even embrace differences.
Yeah.
Because when you've been to enough countries and you've experienced enough cultures, then you realize that there's nothing as a norm, and every norm can be challenged.
Yeah.
So something that you would consider so normal at home would be so weird in another country. And also they would think the same about you as well.
Yeah.
Keep an open mind and don't jump to conclusions so fast, I guess. And the other one is be critical and be question everything. Don't just believe everything that you are told.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So stay open-minded, but at the same time, be critical.
Stay suspicious.
Stay suspicious. Because, to question everything, so I question the source of information that you get. And I mean, it's not only for school, it's also for everyday life. I think that's one of the important skills to have throughout life, not just be, to be able to live or study abroad, right?
Yes. If there's something that I can say I have learned during all these five and a half years abroad, I would say that is the most important thing that I have learned. It's not how to write a news article. It's not what is journalism law, what is PR, but it will be critical thinking.
Yeah.
And I think it is needed in every profession, not just communication, not just journalism, but in everything that you do,
and I think that
will help a lot in every jobs as well.
Yeah, and especially in journalism and public relations, where you have to deal with the media, which you have to expose to a lot of different sources of information on a daily basis. And so being critical about what you read and what kind of information you getting is very important. So looking back, how has studying abroad changed you as a person? How different you are than you were 5 years ago?
Very different.
Yeah,
that's a good thing, because if you don't change, then what's the point of another year passing?
That's a good point. Changing is important, and don't
sway
away
good.
from.
I'm a better person for all the experiences that I have, and all the people that I have met. So I'm thankful for it, and
you're
try
right.
to
So stay open-minded, be critical, and talk to people, right, on a daily basis, and just don't stay inside. Go outside, go out there and talk to people.
And take chances.
Yeah, that's true. But all right, thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Rất cảm ơn các bạn đã lắng nghe buổi trò chuyện ngày hôm nay. Nếu các bạn cảm thấy buổi phỏng vấn bằng tiếng Anh này hữu ích và muốn nghe thêm nhiều phỏng vấn như thế nữa thì hãy cho bọn mình biết qua Facebook bằng cách comment hoặc email cho bọn mình theo địa chỉ lifeabroadpodcast@gmail.com. Chúc các bạn có một tuần làm việc thật vui vẻ và hiệu quả. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn vào thứ Hai tuần sau. Bye!